pops was a devoted Muslim,
Yeah.
and what I want to know is, and I respect your ideologies, like I respect where you are within your worldview. I have no gripes on that at all. Matter of fact, I respect everybody with the different worldview. I think that's what makes the world the world. But what I want to know is, how does a cat come up under a devoted Muslim? How does that kid and that guy turn it, what I'm saying, ultimately grow into becoming an atheist? How does that happen? Like, what's the process? Like, because you even said this in your episode with Charlemagne. You was like, it wasn't an event that happened, and you kind of broke down like I was praying and I was talking to myself, but like, just kind of expound a little bit about like what your process that kind of led from that, when your foundation was so much different than that.
Yeah. Um, I think growing up, the one gift that my parents gave me was I've said this before too, but they taught me how to think and not what to think,
Mm.
and that's huge. Because my parents weren't trying to make me,
That's a gem.
yeah, 1,000%. Like they weren't trying to make me little molds of them. They were like, "Yo, be you. Like whoever you are, go do that."
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me that space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "We'll give you a foundation. This is what we believe. This is how we feel like you should live. But like, go explore yourself." And so, I was very inquisitive as a child. I was super into uh, astronomy. I was super into theology. I was always asking questions, and they always answered my questions. And if they didn't, they would show, "Yo, go look it up." We had, everybody grew up with that encyclopedia set
That's a
on
fact.
the.
That's a
My
fact.
dad used to all the time say, "Go look it up," all the time. Um, and I think over the years, man, I definitely grew up Muslim and considered myself a Muslim as a kid. Um, as time went on, the inconsistencies in the Nation of Islam has really started turning me off to Islam in general, um, and a lot how they treated their women, um, uh, and probably didn't have anything to do with the teachings, to be honest. More so the culture.
Mm.
But even that, it just turned me off, and so I kind of walked away from that faith, but still thought there was a God, right? And as I'm going through my college years, I'm on the fence. Like, there's probably something up there, maybe, but just didn't give it much thought. I was trying to get to the league. I wasn't even focused on it like that. But when I got to the league, uh, I think I think atheism in general is it's a it's a position of luxury. What I mean by that is, if you have a 9 to 5 and you grinding and you have more 2 jobs and you out here, like, you don't really have time, or you don't really want to sit here and just ponder the beginnings of the universe, and so you struggling, like,
Yeah.
right, you out here struggling for sleep, and you sleep deprived, and you just tired of this shit, and you just in the rat race, right? And so like you live in luxury when you can sit here and be like, all right, my nigga, like, let me ponder these religions, and you know what I mean. Like, it's a luxury. It's not like it's a privilege, is what it is.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and so as that got bestowed upon me, I really started digging into, okay, what and who am I? And once those questions started swirling, I got a little better inkling, and so you start reading a little bit more, and you start listening to people talk a little bit more about these issues, and I'm not where I was. Where I was like probably like a militant atheist, where I was like, I was trying to challenge everybody. Like, oh, you believe in God? Well, let me check this out. We'll check it the scripture, and let's see the history of the Bible and the history of the Quran. Like, what I'm saying? I was that cat, merely out of anger because I felt like I was lied to my whole life, which I think is a natural response. But as I came down off of that high horse, I realized, a lot of people need religion.
Mm.
I don't feel like I do, but I feel like a lot of people do because they need like a core, they need a foundation to ground themselves in. Um, uh, I don't think like religion is the best thing to do, but I think it's a template, right? And you have some good things in the Bible, you have some shitty things in the Bible, you have some good things in the Quran, you have some shitty things in the Quran. I think that um, I mean, even that might trigger somebody, but that's not where I'm coming. I'm coming from it from a genuine place nowadays, where it's like, yo, I respect your beliefs wholeheartedly. Like, honestly, if you believe that that's what's going to happen, and that's what it is, that's more power to you, dog. Like, whatever helps you get through the day, and I don't mean that flippantly. I mean that honestly, because it's
Yeah.
just not easy walking through this life. It's just a struggle, And so if that helps you, if that gives you reprieve, if that gives you some kind of emotional healing, then I'm all for it, man. The only time I'll combat your beliefs is when you think that we should legislate those beliefs and we should abide by it lawfully, right? So if you any kind of um, theological doctrine that you feel is should be legislated, then I'll be like, I know, because then I'll give you all the history behind it as to
Right,
why. But
right.
as far as just you personally, I'm cool. I don't even get into those arguments anymore.
So, man, this is why it's so powerful to have conversations and like ask important questions, because if you just go off of like the internet, social media, like again, I dove into like all your podcasts again, and granted, I have been following you for some time.
Right.
Somebody would have just took that shit from 2-3 years ago and just formed this crazy ass opinion about it. But even in this, interesting that you even started that by saying like, listen, I used to come from it from like this militant atheism, but I didn't even get that from you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
2-3 years ago, I got exactly what you just said, which was, listen, if I can see some proof that there is a God, then I am going to like, I'll be open to that. Like
No
to
question.
me, that automatically debunks, being militant, but I still, respect your process in that.
Well, I used to seek out those conversations.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
And,
used to get
that's
it right.
right. Exactly. And I just and it's just so powerful, to see and have evolution and growth. Because for me, I definitely believe in a higher power and a creator and a being or a deity, as you may say whatnot. But growing up, man, I feel very similar to you. I felt like a lot of things were forced upon me. I was lied to a lot, and I was just like sheltered a lot in that. And for real, I'm also learning now that like my people didn't really have the answers like that either. They was
Mm-hmm.
doing the best that they could.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But now, being in my early 30s, man, I'm very much more acceptance. And like my therapist always tells me, John, the world is much more gray and much more nuanced, than it is black and white and right and wrong.
Yeah.
So it's just so beautiful to like hear you say that, what I'm saying, knowing, what I had followed from you before, man. So
Right.
but when you did come into your process and whatnot, did the people who were close to you, did they like have extreme pushbacks? Like were they like trying to like, man, you tripping and trying to like teach you, or was it like, all right, he's just on his walk, he's on his journey, and we just respect it?
Yeah, that's my family was like that. I mean, I was always like rebellious anyway with everything, and
Mhm.
so they was like, yo, throw it on the pile of the shit that this nigga believes. But it was like all love, and like the funny thing is now, like, my brother and my sister probably identify more with like agnosticism, where they don't really know, they're kind of indifferent, but they still probably lean towards something. Whereas before they were religious. And I think that's going to be the trend. I think it is the trend. What's happening is, and it's going to continue, right? What's happening is more people say that, right? They'll be like, well, I'm not really with religion, but I believe there's a God, right?
Mhm.
And I think that is the liaison to where I'm at.
Mhm.
And I think eventually society will be majority of that, because what we had before was a lack of information. All
Mhm.
the information was in the book, right? And not a lot of people just read the book.
Yeah,
But when
we got information overload now.
Mhm. And when you can go search certain things and there's a bunch of reading material on it,
Yep.
you have more opportunity to learn about it. And
Yep.
and I think the more people learn about it, the more they realize, I don't know, dog, this doesn't seem like a very compelling story.
Yeah.
And so the more you break it down, it's like, and I mean this with no disrespect, but it's like conservatives always say, um, oh, higher learning institutions, they're liberal biases, right? They're left leaning. It's biased. I was like, yeah, that's one way to look at it. You could look at that. Or is it the more you learn, the more probability there is that you lean left?
Mhm.
You could look at it like that as well.
Mhm.
Christians say the same thing. They're like, oh, all those secular professors, right? It's a secular institution. Those higher learning institutions. You could look at it like that, or you look at like the more information you gather, the more probability you are to likely not believe that there is a higher power, or you're at least agnostic about it. It's like I think it's like 90% of like PhDs or something like that is secular, either
Yeah.
agnostic or atheist. I think it's because the more information, the more time you spend really studying the shit, the less likely it is for you to believe the things that these books are proselytizing.